Hey, plenty of fun on tap. Here's the playbook tonight. Eagles' future free agents. With the bulk of the offseason already over, we take a quick peek at who could leave the Eagles' nest after this year and who they need to bring back. There's a new Carson in town. Barrett tells us why undrafted rookie quarterback Carson Strong will make the roster this year. And we head over to the Birds Lounge with Dave Zangaro to get the lowdown on what was said at the NovaCare Complex today. Good to see you. Welcome into Birds Huddle, powered by PointsBet, along with my guy, Barrett Brooks. I'm Danny Palmels. We'll also hear from a couple Eagles players who spoke today. Did you like talking to the media back in your day, or did you dread it, Barrett? I got to know.
Did I like talking about it? Well, hold on. Let me say this. They didn't want to talk to me. I may have wanted to talk to them, but nobody came to my locker. Nobody wanted to talk to a rookie. Nobody talk to a guy like me. So, hey, I had to sit back, wait my turn. Now I do all the talking.
Yeah, here you are with your own show, and that brings us to our three-point stance. Barrett's stance on three items of the day. Number one, Javon Hargrave should be the Eagles' biggest priority for contract extension. The Eagles, you know, they have a host of players set to hit free agency next offseason, but you say he's the top guy they need to bring back.
Absolutely, because number one, he plays both spots for this team. You know, when I say both spots, he can play a three technique and he can play a two-gap type of player, and that's what he is. He came from the Steelers, and they run a 30 front. That means a nose guard and two ends over the tackles. He played the nose there, so he can still flip-flop and play both of those type of defenses for this Eagles team. Plus, he was the best defensive line we had last year. So, yes, I would want to bring him back. He's worth them bringing him back. And, in fact, he played better than everybody there at the defensive line. So, yes, we must sign this guy back. It's a must because he's going to be used often, and I believe in his skill set.
Yeah, a lot of impact plays for him last season. He was well on his way to have an incredible year, and playing on his contract year this year. Do you think that adds any pressure? Well, here's Hargrave today.
Nah, not really. I think I approach every year as a contract year in the NFL, especially like on my rookie year. It's just it wasn't no guarantees or nothing like that, so every year was a contract year. But not really. It's just focusing one day at a time and trying to get better every day.
Hey, rocking a J. Cole T-shirt. He is dialed in. Do you believe he'll actually get an extension, or will he play out the season?
I think he'll get the extension. Howie loves to sign guys, understanding that they're going to be worth a lot more once they hit free agency. So he's going to try to stop that from the beginning. So, yes, I think they will sign him back to a deal. He's one of the best defensive line we have there. I think he will get the deal that he wants, because if he hits free agency, they probably won't be able to sign him back.
Yeah, that'll be a trouble spot for the Eagles if they wait that long. Let's get to your second stance. Dallas Goedert will make the Pro Bowl in 2022. What's up, Barrett?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. He was fifth as far as yards, as far as tight ends last year, and he wasn't even the main guy. Remember, Ertz left halfway through the season. He was the number 2 tight end. And plus, you can really see his growth as a player over the last 2 years. I mean, he can block. He's the number 1 blocker on the team, which kind of hurts him a little bit because he's their best tight end blocker. But he's also the best tight end as a catcher. He's a great receiver. So, yes, I see him being a guy that's going to go out and compete for that number 1 spot as far as being the best tight end. And especially with the offense we're not going to run, with it opening up a little bit, with A.J. Brown being here and understanding, you know, that you can run the ball and teams have to stop the run, it's going to open up the scene for Dallas Goedert. He's going to take advantage of it. So, yes, do I think he's going to be a guy that can be competing as one of the top 3 tight ends in the league? I think Goedert can.
Yeah, definite bright spots in that playoff game. Here is Goedert today on how adding A.J. Brown might impact the offense and his targets.
You know, maybe we'll be throwing the ball a little bit more. I'm not too worried about my targets. I don't think Smitty's too worried about his targets. I don't think AJ's too worried about his targets. I think collectively we all want to win games, and we're willing to do whatever it takes. You know, he came from a heavy run team. We were a heavy run team last year. So, you know, I don't think anybody's too worried about it. We're just worried about getting better in this time, and when that time comes to worry about that, it'll be time to worry about that.
All right, B. Brooks, elaborate for us a little bit more. How much is Goedert going to benefit from the presence of A.J. Brown?
Because as a defensive coordinator, you got to pick your poison. Do you stop the guys on the outside with Smith and Brown? Or do you turn around and you stop the run game and bring that safety in? Either way it goes, you're going to pick wrong, because you still got Dallas Goedert, who's going to be roaming around in between the numbers in the middle of the field. He'll be wide open simply because you have to allocate presence to stop him. And if you don't do that, he's going to get open. I trust him to get to break away from any safety that comes down to try to cover him, or a linebacker. Linebackers are too slow and safeties are too small. He's the perfect balance of a guy that can go out there and make big plays in the offense. You see what he did against the Giants. Had a great game the second game against the Giants. That's what I expect to see him this year coming, to be that same type of explosive player he was when they played against the Giants.
And the target should pick up for everyone if A.J. Brown isn't escaping the pocket and running more, right?
Well, if you look at it, man, at this point, Hurts is going to be the guy that you have to make sure that you account for his running ability. So when you do that, it's going to open up the pass. There's going to be slant routes open. There's going to be seam routes open, comebacks, all those things Goddard can run. So, yes, with Brown being out there, Smith being out there, now Goddard, pick your poison. Who do you want to stop? You want to stop those guys? You want to stop the tight end, or you want to stop the run game?
I said Brown, but I meant Hurts. His maturation is going to be a big part of this offense. And let's get to your final stance. Undrafted rookie quarterback Carson Strong will make the Eagles' opening day roster. He was an interesting pickup for them, and you see some good things from him.
No question. You know, I did the Kansas State-Nevada game this year. And when I called the game, I saw this young man. He has all the intangibles to be a really good drop-back quarterback. He's not running away from anybody. He's not breaking the pocket. He doesn't have that functional mobility as a runner. But I tell you what, he has a cannon of an arm. He can, you know, he has that touch to get the ball to his receivers. This kid's going to be all right, man. I think that he really will come in and make this squad as a third-team quarterback. And, if push come to shove and they need to go out there and get some real help somewhere else, if they trade Minshew, this kid could come in and play at the second-team quarterback. That's how good I see him. He has perfect size, 6'3", 226 pounds. Plus, he has a cannon of arm. So, yes, I like him. I like what he brings to the table. He's going to be a pretty good quarterback once he gets his time.
So we got a Carson Strong, so that means that Carson Wentz is Carson weak, right?
Right. right. This is the real Carson right here. Please stand up, Mr. Strong.
It's funny because you heard of Elf on the Shelf, but we had Wentz on the bench last year.
Right.
After he,
Wentz on the bench. I like that.
Here's that rocket arm you were talking about.
I mean, dropping dimes everywhere. Yeah. I mean, and he really trusts hitting the seam routes, those long passes, those deep passes everybody wants to see. He can do that. I can't wait till we get to camp and we start playing in those preseason games and he gets some time to go out there and run the offense. He's going to show you how good of a player he is.
Yeah, something to watch for in those preseason games for sure. Let's hit a break right here. Yeah, let's sit back and chill a little bit. We're here in the Birds Lounge. Dave Zangaro on the couch with us from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Dave, thanks for being here. Looking good. Dave, we heard from a couple of Eagles earlier in the show. You were there for the press conferences. Anything particular stand out to you from the pressers?
Yeah, a little bit. We had a chance to talk to Hassan Reddick, and it was our first chance to talk to him since right after he signed.
Sure.
And he actually brought up something interesting that I'd kind of wondered about. They've split their front 7 rooms, their meeting rooms, into 3 different categories. So you have your inside linebackers, your defensive linemen, like your interior defensive linemen, and then the edge positions, so the defensive ends and the outside linebackers. So this is just another hint that we're going to see some 3-4 this year, probably more than we did
30 front, yep.
last year. And look, I don't think it's going to be all 3-4. I don't think they're just going to become a 3-4 defense and be that boring 2-gap style. I don't think they have all the players to do that, but this is going to be a multiple defense. They're going to do a lot of different things, and now they have some versatile pieces. You look at Hassan Reddick, you look at Jordan Davis, the addition of those guys, I mean, that kind of screams 3-4.
Johnson also.
Kyron Johnson, who's kind of that stand linebacker position behind Hassan Reddick. So they have all these pieces. I don't think they have another outside linebacker necessarily, to play on the other side. So I think it'll be multiple defenses, but all those hints are there that I think it's going to be more of a hybrid style than what we saw last year.
Barrett, you've been saying that for weeks.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the personnel. Just like you said, all those guys. I think they started it last year. What's his name? Patrick Johnson?
Patrick Johnson, who was the 7th rounder, yeah.
Yep, and then, you look at last year, this draft we just passed, the kid from Kansas. You look at what they're bringing, the pieces they're bringing in, they have guys that can do it. And that's why I said, earlier in the show that, Hargraves will be a versatile player in this defense because he came from the Steelers, in which they ran a 30 front, and he was a nose guard in that system. So it only makes sense to bring him back and re-sign him, later on in the year.
Yeah, we saw them kind of play the 4-eye last year a little bit in the four-man front.
4 eyes when they over the tackles, head up on the tackles. That's a 4-eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have and Hargrave can play the nose. He can also play a defensive end in a 3-4. So they have these pieces that. Jonathan Gannon his goal is to eventually have a defense where he can say every week, we want a game plan for this team. We want to play, all right, maybe more 3-man fronts against this team.
Faster team, more linebackers. He wants to be really multiple and
be able to change. It's really ambitious to do that, but that's what his goal is. You look at Brandon Staley, what he did with the Rams a few years ago. That's kind of the template that Gannon wants to run here.
Anyone that hasn't spoken that you really are waiting to talk to?
Yeah, I think there are a few. I mean, Fletcher Cox comes to mind. He's kind of had a weird offseason with the whole contract stuff. He got cut. He got brought back. One guy who's a long shot to make the team is Devin Allen, the track star. I want to know about his journey a little bit. He hasn't played football in a lot of years, and he's trying to make an NFL team. That can't be easy. So you look around, and we'll talk to some of these guys, I'm sure, but Fletcher's probably at the top of the list.
Let's hop into the backfield for a second. Miles Sanders spoke today. He's entering a contract year. Do you think he gets a new one, Dave, and will it happen before the season?
I don't think it's going to happen before the season. I kind of view him in the same category as, the guys they extended last year. And some of them were before the season, I know that, but Avonte Maddox and Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata, Dallas Goedert, I think the Eagles view him like that. They want to have him around. And look, when Miles has been on the field, he's been a very good player. Last year he had his career high in yards per carry, but I mean, the problem is he can't stay on the field, and he needs to be more available. And it's been frustrating for him. He doesn't know what to make of it. But if he can stay healthy and he shows early in the season that he can be an effective player in this offense, I think they will try to extend him.
The best ability is availability. Are you surprised, Dave, they didn't really bring any other backs? Jordan Howard's still a free agent, but they didn't draft or sign anyone.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they used a premium pick on Miles Sanders a few years ago, and they can do that again, but you can find running backs. And I think that's kind of the way they operate at that position outside of every once in a while they'll use big resources on a player, but that's kind of uncommon for them at this point.
They still got a lot of guys in their in that meeting room anyway. So
yeah, they had Boston Scott back this year. They didn't bring him back as a restricted guy. Kenny Gainwell should be a little better in year 2. And yeah, they have. And Jordan Howard's a phone call away. He's not on the roster right now, so they can play that game again if they want to.
He came ready to play last season. Tomorrow is the schedule release. We know week 2, Monday, home against the Vikings. But overall, how many primetime games do you guys see?
More than last year. I think it was only 2. It was supposed to be 2.
The easy answer. Let's wrap the show up. That's it.
It'll be, I think they're back to 4 or 5. I mean,
you got to earn it. You got to earn it.
And they earned it last year. They were an exciting team, and they have a lot of marquee players, and this is always a fan base that cares. So you can always count on at least Eagles fans are going to watch.
Right.
More primetime games means more late nights for these guys, but that's a wrap for Birds Huddle, powered by PointsBet. They're ready to go for Dave Zangaro and Barrett Brooks. I'm Danny Palmels. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.